Welcome to the Writing Corner. My name is LD Valencia. Today we're going to be talking about vanity presses. So if you don't know, if you're new to the indie publishing space, a vanity press is the kind of less than kind term for a publishing house, usually smaller, that will charge you a fee in order to publish your book. Now, in my experience, this is not a process that you want to go down. There is probably only one instance that I can see in which I would say, yeah, just go with a vanity press. But for the most part, I would say steer clear of this in almost all scenarios. So, in my experience, when I was first starting to decide I wanted to publish, I took the idea that I had for the book. If you don't know my story, I was not necessarily looking to become a published author. I am a teacher, and I was writing a story with my students as part of a creative writing unit, and I wrote a little story about superheroes and kind of like the secret agent kind of thing going on, and my kids loved it. They ate it up. They said, "Mr. V, you should get this published." So I did. I thought it'd be cool to have like a single book in my classroom that I wrote that might inspire my students to want to read more, maybe even write more. I thought it'd be a cool thing to have in my classroom. I had no real intentions of becoming a published author, but I decided to run with it, and I wrote the first book, and I have the kind of personality that I'm a little obsessive about things that I get into. So in this instance, I got really into writing, and I've always loved stories. I've always been someone that really enjoys coming up with stories. Even as a little kid, as the older brother, I got to kind of dictate what we played, so I always make up little stories and scenarios, and my brother and my sister sometimes even would kind of play along with me, right? And it was always variations of my favorite shows and movies and books and stuff like that, right? Like Dragon Ball Z, and we were Pokemon trainers and stuff like that, right? So, all that to say is I ended up writing more. But I decided I was going to go with a vanity press in order to kind of streamline the process and help me figure out what to do. I didn't realize that there would be very little help involved. The process was really just me giving them a whole bunch of money and them giving me a very poor product. The cover was pretty bare bones, I guess you could say. I gave them a concept, and I told them I kind of want there to be like a Venus theme because that's a aspect of the book. But I was like, it's a superhero thing, so if there could be superheroes involved in something, or it can look superhero-y, kind of go with that. So they gave me a product, and it really looked like somebody, like an unpaid intern with very little training, if any, in whatever the platform they were using, produced this. The text was really chintzy. The animations were kind of just blocky and chunky. It was overall just not a great product, and I was possibly even more frustrated with the editing. They edited the book, they sent it back to me, and it had a form to fill out if I caught any other errors. The form had 100 spaces. I filled it up. I had my wife read over it, and I had somebody else read over it for me as well, and altogether we filled up all 100 spaces. Now, as someone who's gone through and published 10 books, I know that there are going to be some errors that make it through and are in the final book. I've seen, traditionally published books that have been edited by a whole team still have a couple of errors in them. But 100 errors still in a edited book, professionally edited book, is a lot. So I was just kind of blown away that they said they edited this thing. For the fee they were charging was outlandish. I was just really kind of frustrated from that point on. And I was just kind of if I wanted to do anything with the book, if I wanted to order more copies, if I wanted to market, if I wanted to do anything, it was going to cost an arm and a leg. So I really didn't do anything. I kind of started doing some social media stuff and trying to get sales going that way. And that's a tricky thing to begin with, even if you have a big following, right? So overall, I was not pleased with it. And I would ask any indie author that's just kind of getting started and wanting to go the self-publishing route, probably stick away from going with a vanity press. It's going to cost you way more than if you just try and get these things done professionally, done a la carte, right? And at least me, I was not pleased with the product. The only instance I can see someone being I'm going to go with a vanity press is someone that doesn't have the time or the energy to put into finding a cover artist, editing it, and all the other things, and probably just wants a couple copies to give to family, right? Someone maybe that's doing their memoirs, right? I've heard of like grandparents wanting to have their life story written so they can give to the grandkids and their family and kind of like have their story passed down to their relatives. That's probably the only scenario I would say, like, that makes sense. You know, you don't want the headache, you probably have some disposable income. That might be the easiest route. But if you were trying to, one, make this a business, make this like a side thing, make this something that you actually put some effort and time and probably trying to acquire some money from this, I would steer clear of a Vanity Press. Full stop. I would not recommend going with the Vanity Press at all. So that's kind of my story. That's kind of my spiel about Vanity Presses and what I think about them. So thanks so much for sticking around. I hope you've learned something. I hope you stay away from vanity presses, and I hope you have a great day. If you aren't a follower, please consider subscribing. I've never really pitched that before, but hey, it's first time. So thanks so much for diving in with us.